So hey folks, here we are at the Krieghoff 500 at Bywell, and as this is a Krieghoff sponsored event, the guys from the Krieghoff service team are here all weekend servicing guns, and it's a really helpful service. If you have a Krieghoff, obviously you know every 2 years or 40,000?
25,000.
45,000 rounds. The gun is due a service. You can bring it here while you're shooting or in between your evenings or weekends festivities, and get your gun serviced by the mighty Irwin, who is the master of all things Krieghoff.
God. Okay.
And I thought it would be super useful, interesting, hopefully, to see actually what goes on when you get your gun serviced. It's really, really intricate. If you've ever seen the inside of one of these, it's insane how much intricacy there is inside of a Krieghoff, and how much goes into the servicing. And really, when you get the gun back after your service, what are you getting for your money? What's happening? And kind of seeing the detail of it. I find it fascinating. Hopefully you will too. Irwin,
Right.
take it away. Maestro.
Right. So service, when we do one, so people bring it in. They shot it for 2 years. They might have shot in heavy rain. They might have shot an awful lot. So what we do is a complete strip of the whole gun. We replace all the springs and we replace all the parts that have had an update. So say that there's a part that has excessive wear or something, it all gets replaced. And the other thing is we clean it, because as you can see here, this gentleman is sponsored by some grease company, I think.
Yeah, that's been greased.
But what this does is it catches a lot of dust and granules and all sorts, and basically creates a grinding paste. And yeah, we need to get that out.
Well, it looks like it looks clean, the grease, but yeah, that's too much. I would argue.
It's a bit much. I don't like it when they come in like this. That's why I always got hands like that.
Yeah, fair.
So what we look at here is when we strip it, we clean every part individually, check it for wear, check it for corrosion, and excess grease.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll leave that one for a sec. So in the action here, we've got lots of moving parts. People always say it looks complicated. I don't think it does. It's the same as any other gun, it just looks complicated.
Says the man with how many years of experience of doing this?
Yeah, I've been 25 years at Krieghoff. Right. There's some parts that we don't replace because over the years people have had their trigger pulls altered or things like that. So the sear springs I will not touch unless the person is doubling. So these come out. I know that the one on the pin is the left-hand one, so that you go back into the same order. These are the little C-clipses. We replace those because at the end of the day they are little springs, and if they do come off, they might cause some trouble in there. Put the pins in the order that they came out of. And you can see here there is a tiny bit of corrosion on this sear. So we will polish that before we put it back in. Trigger neck comes out. And on here we replace basically the selector spring, which makes you shoot top or bottom barrel first. That's the inertia block. Looks okay, although we can see that the customer at one point had a stock bolt that was too long in here.
Oh.
And the stock bolt came basically through the action, came out on the inside of the action and touched against that. You can see the mark there, so we'll need to polish that out and check if there's no more damage done.
Because there's only 2 lengths of stock bolt, right?
Yes. You should only have 8 full turns from when it starts to bite in the back here. 8 full turns. Any more than that, stock bolt comes out inside the action.
I'm guessing that inertia block's pretty much the first thing it's going to come up against and foul it.
Yeah. And it could be quite an expensive one, because if you bend this trigger mag too far, this piece here might break off, and that is a replacement of the complete trigger mag.
Ouch.
We also see that these screws here look a bit sorry.
Yep.
So when we reassemble the gun, we will replace those.
And those side plates you've taken out basically just hold everything together, right?
They hold the trigger mag and the sears in, yep. Correct. Now you have to disable the top lever spring.
That looks like it would go a long way.
It's a very strong spring on it.
At a high speed.
So that's disabled now. Now we are going to disassemble the top latch. So see, these are places where the customer can't clean, because the stop latch is on the action. There's no way you can clean underneath there, so that's something we do in the service.
Yep.
Clean all of this out and put fresh grease on it. Check for wear again. Here's your top lever spring that gets replaced. This is your top latch hold open. If you shoot a lot in heavy rain or so, you might get some water seeping in there, because it's a very narrow slot, and again, a customer wouldn't be able to clean into that slot. So put that pin back out of the way. Now we'll take the hammers out. There's a locking screw that stops this hammer pin from drifting out.
So you've actually got a step down in the diameter of that hole. So you've got a screw inside of another screw hole.
Yes, and that screw stops this pin from drifting.
Yeah.
On top of that, the trigger guard, when it's screwed on, holds that screw in place.
Yeah.
So with vibration, recoil and all that, it can't move. Shouldn't move. Now, we're going to take the hammers out, and these have very strong springs in, so we need this jig. We take the pressure off the springs.
I assume you made that jig yourself?
Yeah, we made a couple for the workshop. It's you need it. When I get the springs out, you'll see why. That's one hammer. That's the second hammer. Quite beefy, as you can see.
Mm-hmm.
We got two cocking rods, and you can see here, very dirty underneath. Then we got the mainsprings and the guides. See with the you can't even compress them with your fingers. That's why you need a jig to take them in and out. These are the mainspring guides. We will use them again. But again, on this mainspring guide, see how the spring, when being cocked and shot, it has made tiny grooves in here.
Yeah.
So we give that a polish as well. Now, last bit on this action is the firing pin block. We use aluminium or brass pins, so we don't damage anything when taking them out.
Of course.
And there's your firing pin assembly.
Which is quite dirty.
It's very dirty, so try to think what it looks like inside. Let's have a look. So you can see K80 firing pins come in two pieces. So you got a short piece, and then behind that is the actual firing pin. So they sit like that. That's why with a K80 you can dry fire it as much as you want. It doesn't matter, the firing pin is already broken. And in fact I've never seen one broken in the last 25 years.
There you go, straight from the horse's mouth. Dry fire as much as you like, and you don't need snap caps.
Nope. What does happen, not on this one now, but on some guns, depending on the primers of the cartridges, the tips of the firing pins can get eroded. Not on this one now, but we replace them anyway because there's no point putting old firing pins back in. Same as the top latch hold open spring, replace that. Same as this spring here, which I will take apart in a second. And on the trigger, we replace the selector spring. We do not replace this inertia spring because again the customer might have experienced double discharges in the past. And what we do then is we put a weaker inertia spring in so that this block moves slower. It prevents double discharging, so if I were to put a standard one back in, he might have the same problem again. So here we replace the little selector spring.
Tiny.
And then we replace also the trigger return spring, and that is it for the action.
Which is again a tiny little, like hair thin.
Yes. And there it is. Now in the forehand. Oh my god, I really look forward to doing this one.
Yeah, that's a lot of grease.
Yep. Right, so in here we got 7 springs. We got the one for the forehand catch.
Yep.
We got 4 ejector springs. And we got the ejector steer springs somewhere buried underneath that.
All that white
grease.
lithium grease.
So. These pins are there in case you're cleaning it and a piece of cloth catches underneath the ejector sear.
Right.
The hammers would just fly out just like that.
Oh dear.
So these are the ejector springs. Actually, this much grease, it's counterproductive because it slows everything down.
Yeah.
We have another jig here to get the ejector sears out. Tiny pins on the side.
That wasn't enough, so I got off at the next services and stopped there and had a wee snoot for about an hour.
The forehand to be steady when I knock them out because right next to this is a paper tin wall of metal.
Yeah.
If you slipped with your pin punch, you might snap it off because these are really hard.
Right.
Pins are still in there. Then we take the forehand catch. And lastly, the forehand catch spring. God, it's all sticky, Lloyd.
Yummy.
So what we do now is we clean all the parts.
In a bucket of petrol with that one, I think.
Yeah. Everything needs to be cleaned and checked and checked for burrs or scratches or excessive wear, and we'll see what's underneath this. So we just cleaned out all the grease and I feel really dirty now. Same in the action. So all of this has been cleaned out. Again, it's something the customer cannot do because all of this is packed full with parts and you just can't get to it.
Yeah, sure.
So after all that, we cleaned all the parts. We're gonna now reassemble it with the new springs, which you can see here. So you got our main springs, stop lever spring, ejector springs, firing pin assembly, the trigger springs, ejector sears, and a couple of screws that weren't looking too happy.
Yep. There's all the old bits to be replaced with new bits.
So I'll start with the forend.
And obviously, as you were cleaning everything, visually inspecting, looking for any issues,
Yes.
defects, etc.
Nothing needed replacing on this one,
Cool.
which is great. This is a finicky one.
Nothing for a man of your caliber.
No, I'm going to grab my tool over there. Hang on. It's called a pear. Easier. You will speed this up, obviously. It's really different when you have a cameraman here filming everything.
You should try shooting when there's a cameraman on you.
True. Ejector hammers.
So 2 springs because it's a linear hammer, right?
Yes, you just need that bit more power. We do a standard version spring and a stronger one.
And that hangs on that sear when it's in place.
That is in place now. And I will put the 2 pins in to prevent them from coming out completely when it's fired.
And the grease that you're applying now is exactly as much grease as the gun needs on
Yes.
those parts until the next time it's serviced.
Exactly. Where I put it behind the hammer, where the friction is against the forend iron, the customer could not put it on there anyway.
No.
Because you would have to physically take the hammers out to reach that.
Which you aren't going to do.
I wouldn't recommend it because. So here we have the forend catch. That gets a new spring as well. We don't always send parts out because, yes, a customer could replace this spring in case it broke.
Yep.
But the screw on it is quite a fine thread.
Yep.
And if you have somebody who's quite heavy-handed, they usually snap the screw. And then we have to get it back, drill the screw out. And it's just easier to just send it in and we'll do it.
For a 2-minute job for an experienced engineer.
As you can see, that's a flat spring. If it's not replaced, it will always bend on the same place. It could break away at one
It just
point.
gets tired, don't it?
It does, yeah. So that's everything for the forend. For the action, we start with reassembling the firing pin block. So we got all the grease out of there as well. Firing pin block has 2 different springs. The bottom one is a tiny bit weaker. I don't know if you can see that.
Just ever so slight difference in the
That's
gauge.
because the way the hammers, they pivot on this pin here.
Yep.
The top firing pin is nice and in straight line with the movement of the hammer. Whilst the bottom one comes around the same way, but it has to knock it downwards. So that's why we put a slightly lighter spring in the bottom to prevent misfires. Second part of the firing pin. That's one part that's already been updated on this gun. But the firing pin protrusion on the KT used to be 1.2 millimeters for, God, I don't know how long. And then the cartridge is changed, or the primer, should I say. And we had to change this to 0.9 with more power. So less protrusion, more power to prevent the firing pins from splitting the primers.
Right.
And then you basically get a lot of blowback into the action, you get a lot of carbon buildup, and eventually the gun would start misfiring. So that's the firing pin block in place. I always lightly grease the pins when we put them back in because we don't want them to go rusty, makes it just harder for the next service. There are locking screws on all the pins, should not forget to tighten those. Nobody wants to see a pin drifting when they're shooting.
No, sir.
Then we'll put the hammer assembly back with the cocking rods. What we checked before here was if there was any wear on the cocking levers.
Yep.
Which there wasn't, but once the gun is fully assembled, we'll check that again with the barrel and the forend.
Yeah.
Put that pin out of the way. So we have our new mainsprings. Let's have a look how they compare with the old ones. As you can see, they're a tiny bit shorter, the old ones.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they
Just
do
from
have
compression.
set. Yeah. These parts have been marked in the factory, so you got a left and a right one. That's the mainsprings in place. Cocking rods and the hammers, they get greased up on the pivot point and on the rubbing points on the action. And now we're going to need our clamp because these springs, there's no way you're going to press them by hand. Just line the hole up. Bit of grease on the pin. And then it goes in easy. Seems all right. What I will do before I put the plates in, I'm going to put the trigger return spring first because I still got a lot of room here.
Yeah.
So build it up, it'll be a lot harder. Like we said before, the side screws weren't that nice looking, and we don't want to have problems with the neck service, so
New ones in.
we'll just put new ones in. Not happy with this one. There might be a thread missing on the end.
Fresh one.
That's better. Now on the trigger, like we said, we're going to replace that tiny selector spring, because a lot can go wrong with the KT. An ejector can break, but you can still shoot it. But if this selector spring goes, then it's game over. It needs to be replaced. If the ejector goes, for example, you can just throw the broken piece out. It will extract the cartridge, but not eject it anymore.
Right.
Now the trigger goes back in. We have a new locking screw for the hammer access pin.
That locking screw is then subsequently locked by the trigger guard.
By the top of the trigger guard, yeah. So we just need to check that we have, see this last bit?
Yep.
There's a bit of pressure here, which holds the locking screw down.
Yep.
Now we'll put the sears back.
Fresh C-clips back on.
Don't forget those. We have our left sear spring. Cock it. Our right sear spring. We have a selector pin. And then there's only the top latch and top lever spring to do. I need to disable this. These are the bits where the customer just can't get to. We'll use that again for later. And that's the whole action reassembled.
Just like that.
With all the new springs, with polished parts.
Okay, so now that the action and the forend are back together, we're onto the barrels.
Barrels, yes, we look here around the monoblock. You can see it's a little bit rusty there, that's not a big deal, but on this side we have some scratches in the monoblock.
Yep.
We also have the extractor touching inside the action,
Right.
which is what we don't want. We want it to be below the metal and the barrel should touch there, not the extractor.
Okay.
So, we'll take these out now. And with the gate, you've got a ball bearing and a spring underneath here.
Yep.
Press it over that. Turn it upside down. You don't want that ball bearing to fly out.
Right.
And there's your spring. Just give it a little tap. Upside down, pull them out. And you can see how dirty they are underneath.
And the springs aren't handed or anything, so you don't need to worry about them going back in the same hole.
The only thing those have to do, those springs, is it's to prevent the extractor from falling out when you're cleaning the gun or when the barrel is not in the action. So they don't have a big function, but here you can see this would slow the ejection down considerably.
Just build up a gunk.
God, yeah.
I take mine out about twice a year, tend to, and give them a clean and re-lube.
There's a lot in there.
Yeah, there is.
So what we'll do, we'll just give them a good polish, because polish prevents it from rusting. That will take care of that rust here as well.
Yep.
And this much grease on the ejector will actually slow it down.
Yeah.
It will build up with all sorts of dust, and then again, this whole monoblock needs to be polished.
Yep.
What we did before, we checked the barrels inside for pitting. And we will check the chokes, because some people do the same chokes all the time. And that's fine. no problem, but they still need to be disassembled. I would say 200, 300 rounds, take the ejectors out, clean them, because every time you put a shot load through the choke, it will expand, it will push all the old grease and the oil out, and it will eventually end up dry. And what you get then is corrosion on the threads inside the barrels, and eventually you'll have a choke that doesn't require turning anymore, spinning. You can just pull it in and out, and we have seen a couple this year. That's a shame because there's no repair for that.
Right, new barrels.
Yep. These are well greased, so yeah.
Yeah, they're
No
looking
problem
good,
there.
Nick.
Yep. After we clean the barrel inside, we'll reassemble them with fresh grease. So what we'll do here, we'll polish the monoblock, because over time there will have been a lot of grease on there and that picked up dust and all sorts, and it makes like a little bit of a grinding paste. So you want to get all that off, but we don't want to take material off, so we use a very, very fine emery cloth. Might need a bit more for this one.
So when you say that the polish effectively helps to prevent rust, you're not giving the oxidization anywhere to start because there's no...
It's like burnishing basically. So on this side we have to see how deep the scratches are, because we don't want to take too much material off.
Of course.
Because these barrels have been hand fitted to that action, and the more material we take off, the looser the barrel gets, which is something we don't want.
I think it's a key thing with grease. It is the right substance, but you do have to change it often.
When the gun goes in the case, you should really take the grease off on the side,
Yep.
so it doesn't pick up anything inside the case.
And then a fresh coat on, because grease is cheap and guns aren't.
Exactly. On this face we can clean it up, but again we can't take material off really,
No.
because we want the breech face to touch on the action. As soon as you get wear on here, all the gun is off the face and it needs rejointing.
It's incredibly fine grit, that cloth you're using.
Yes, 600 for the ejectors. You can use a buffing wheel for them and it makes them really shiny. But again, it's a bit big to bring to a shoot. It's quite normal to get these wearing marks on the ejectors.
Yep.
Because the K80 system, when your gun has ejected and you're closing the gun with your shells in, it's actually the cartridge contacting the breech face on the action that presses these ejectors back into place. So you will always get a rubbing mark on them.
And of course, they're all hand fitted. When you get the ejectors replaced, they are hand fitted. It's not like you use
Yeah.
a serviceable part.
Not really, no. No. And those as well, of course.
I'm not frightened to grease this, lad.
I'm sure he's sponsored, yeah. Keep a little bit of grease on the spring, because I don't want the spring to go rusty again.
Yeah.
You put your ball bearing on top of the spring, or somewhere near, and then it's your ejector. Get it close to the hole, press it down, and press the ejector over the top.
What was your uncle? Alright, so everything's polished, reassembled, appropriately lubricated.
Yep, what we'll do now is apply some new grease, and then we'll check the overcock and the ejection. So on a K80 you don't need more than this. A little bit inside the hinge pin area.
But not too much.
Not too much. What you also can do is with the top latch touches. And on the forend, only where it touches the action,
Yep.
which is the outer bit. Filling these grooves up, it's not helping anything.
Nothing's just basically giving some with a dirt to sit.
Exactly. So, another thing we picked up on in this service, overcock is fine, which is the reserve that the hammer has after cocking. So when it's fired, you open the gun, that's the sears connecting with the hammers.
Yep.
And I'll try and do it slower. So now the hammer comes back, the
Yep.
sear is going to engage. There.
Yep.
And then we want a healthy bit of overcock.
Yes.
The ejector is fine, but what I did pick up on is here. And if you don't know if you can see it on the camera.
Yeah, a little bit of play.
Yes. And that is what makes the gun loose. But with the K80 we have a part here that we can replace that will tighten it up again. So that's also part of the service. I do get complaints sometimes that we make it too tight. Because if you handle them all day, every day, it feels good.
Yeah,
but I suppose if you're on the line, you don't want to be battling the gun. We have a 7.2 block in there. This one is 7.4, which will be too much, but I rather fit it on the gun. Too tight. So what we'll do, we'll take a tenth off here. I'll take this latch off so I can feel exactly what that block is doing. Now we don't have to play anymore, but it will be a bit too tight for the customer.
Okay.
So I'll just give it a small polish.
Just take a tiny, tiny bit off.
Tiny bit off, and also to make sure that we have, don't know if you can see that full bearing on the surface. Not just touching on the top or the bottom, because it would only take like a few shots for it to go back loose again.
Sure.
Cameraman again. As you can see here now, it's a little bit rough on there.
Yeah.
So we had grease everywhere, apart on the bearing surface. That's okay, I need to clean it up anyway, and this will feel a tiny bit too tight for the customer.
Right.
So by the time I clean this surface up, which is where the block is touching.
Of course, yeah. Hence why it was a little bit uneven.
Yeah. I don't really want to take material off here because it's part of the barrel.
Yep.
The block is replaceable, the forehand lug isn't, without re-blacking and reproofing.
Yeah.
Because these parts are silver soldered onto the tubes.
Sure.
Much better. Much better. Now we'll check the ejector. We want both ejectors to come out together, which they do. It's important when you're one of those fancy cartridge catchers. Oh God.
There's a bit of grease to come out of there, I think.
Yeah, I think we better clean that out. We will try the opening movement again with the forehand wood. It could slightly alter it when you tighten both screws.
Tiny bit of grease, not too much.
Not too much.
The nod of a happy man.
Yeah, happy it's home time soon. So then it's just a stock to put on basically.
Yeah. And then ready to go back to the customer for another 2 years.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
That feels like a new one again. It's probably a bit lighter as well now without the grease. But you feel the opening of this.
Yeah. That feels
Compared
brand
to
new.
before when we had a little gap.
Yep. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Brilliant, thank you.
Fascinating to see and really interesting, hopefully, for you guys to appreciate what it is that you're actually buying when you get your gun serviced. It's not just a service, and it's a very comprehensive one. But as I said, it's that 2 years of extended warranty and a tiny bag of springs.
Yep. You get
What do you
those
want?
as well.
Owen, thank you very much, mate. A pleasure as always.
Nice seeing you.
Take
And now
care,
you
mate.
got greasy hands too.
Oh, well, I have now. I'll see you next year.
Take care.